The manuscript you requested. Labyrinths of the Mind.
Coming up, Captain Burnam and the Discovery crew embark on a frantic race against time to reach the Eternal Gallery and Archive and secure the final clue to the progenitor tech ahead of the relentless Breen.
It looks like some sort of nucleonic emitter. It's connected to her frontal lobe, and it appears to be running a program in her mind. Disconnecting it while the program is still running could be fatal.
Yet their mission encounters a formidable obstacle when Burnam finds herself trapped in a mental prison, struggling to decipher the cryptic riddle left by a protective scientist.
You want me to admit that? That the job is everything? Is that how I get the clue?
Can Burnam unravel the enigma of the final clue before her psyche succumbs to the pressure?
A Breen ship has arrived at our beacon.
Give it to me, or the archive and its contents will be made ash.
And will she succeed before the Breen unleash destruction upon them all?
All this and more
Coming up on the Star Trek Discovery edition of Energize.
Energize.
We're going into the uncharted regions of the Star Trek universe 1,000 years after James T. Kirk.
You're listening to Energize, a Star Trek Discovery Edition podcast, your source for detailed analysis, colorful debate, and spirited discussions about the final adventures of Captain Michael Burnam and the USS Discovery crew.
I'm your host, Anthony McLemore.
And I'm Steve Truitt.
This week, the Discovery teeters on the brink of securing the elusive final clue to the immensely powerful progenitor tech.
But their efforts are hampered as Burnam finds herself ensnared within a perilous mindscape, while the relentless Breen pose a deadly threat to their very existence.
Here's a warp speed recap of Season 5, Episode 8 of Star Trek Discovery, Labyrinths.
The manuscript you requested. Labyrinths of the Mind.
Has anyone else ever come looking for this?
Our records show you were the first.
Michael, you won't believe what? Michael?
It looks like some sort of nucleonic emitter. It's connected to her frontal lobe, and it appears to be running a program in her mind. Disconnecting it while the program is still running could be fatal.
Your consciousness has been transported into a mindscape, a virtual space created from what your neural activity indicates as the most important place in your life.
A Breen ship has arrived at our beacon. They are requesting access to our archive.
You can't let them in, not now.
We cannot be perceived as taking sides.
Give it to me, or the archive and its contents will be made ash.
All right, Steve. So this week, I think we've reached that turning point that you've been looking for. We're starting to ramp up because we're getting close to the end. And I have to say, Discovery is like picking up the pace and is delivering. I'm hooked now.
Me too. I think I was in the beginning, because they have been pouring the gas on this. They knew it was the final season, which is a real shame because this is kind of like TNG in season 3. They're just hitting their stride, and now they're getting canceled. Like, damn, it's a bummer. But, I mean, I'll tell you, it's getting good.
Oh, yeah. You can't have two bad back-to-back seasons. One, you're kind of like, okay now, but they did it two in a row. And that's what hurt them. I think if they had done this as season 3, or maybe like we've discussed many times, if Discovery had come there and just simply found that Starfleet had been defeated and they have the one technology that no one else has, the spore drive. And then it's the
to help rebuild
Starfleet. The whole news, the whole season 3-4 could have been about rebuilding Starfleet and the adventures that they find along the way, those kinds of things, and finding out who destroyed them.
Right, and that also could have dovetailed into either Progenitor or Section 31, because I always thought Discovery was going to go into the future and become the beginnings of Section 31, because Section 31 is a time-traveling initiative.
And that's a really good theory because you never know. It could happen. Remember, they are the ones getting the progenitor tech. So maybe maybe they become the protectors.
Well, maybe they did listen to us 2 seasons ago. I don't know. If that's the case, here's what I would propose. If they're not going to bring back Discovery, which I think they should, I think they should just turn around and bring it back, with a slap on the wrist. Like, okay, if they don't do that, they should make a Discovery movie that's set, forget Section 31, the movie they're making now, cancel and rewrite and have Discovery kick off Section 31.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I'll fix this. I promise.
So we start this episode with legions of Breen aboard the Dreadnought. They're all participating in a memorial ceremony of sorts for Locke, and a grieving Maul is standing over her body, which is shrouded in a Breen flag, as she whispers to him, "I will fix this."
Right, and it's like, can she hear him? Can he hear her? I will say that as Discovery heats up, I don't feel like Maul's character is getting stronger over these the 8, like this 7 and 8, and we're on season 8 or episode 8 right now. I'll talk about it more as we go along, but I don't like how they're writing her right now. All of a sudden, there's just something about it that I'm not digging.
I'm going to disagree with you on that, because here's the thing. I've always kind of dug Maul because she's just belligerent. At first, I thought maybe she was a one note, but then she grew. We grew to understand the relationship between the two of them. We understand that she's the forgotten daughter of Book's mentor, and now she'll do anything for the love of her life. And she's very tactical, and that's that's what I like about her character. And this episode, she is no less tactical. She's a thinking person. She is not to me, she's not a one note. And she, in every scene, I'm trying to get into her head and try to figure out what calculations that she's making, because that she's got some massive plan, some immense plan that she's going to implement. I don't get the feeling that she's completely winging this.
It's funny because I don't know what the plan is other than the progenitor tech. We get the tech, we sell it to the Breen, and we get free. That's the plan. But now the plan has changed. I need the progenitor tech to bring back Locke. And these are, in my opinion, transactional in-the-moment plans. Like, we need to get free, let's go get this thing. Oh, he's dead, I need to bring him back. I think she is desperate, but yeah, she's savvy and she's got her wits about her.
Yeah,
But as we've discovered throughout this episode, there's things that she attains that I don't think I'm surprised she gets.
Yeah, and I know what you're getting to. But I will say this, within Breen culture, if you're the wife of, a higher up person, then that gives you some kind of status. And Locke was the heir to the throne. So, yes, I know where you're going. And when we get there, we'll discuss it more.
Without the Scion, some believe that our claim to the throne has been eradicated. In fact, it has grown stronger than before. His murder will galvanize the other factions behind us.
The uncle acknowledges, is acknowledging, Locke's defiance, but he honors him. And as the direct descendant of the Emperor, nonetheless, he's speaking to everyone in Maul's tongue, and he believes that Locke's death at the hands of the Federation will unite the factions. So for the uncle, it seems like everything is about getting him on the throne.
Yeah, and it's interesting that that's the case because I did believe that he wanted that power for himself. And I guess I got confused because, all the Breen look alike, and I don't mean that in any other statement other than... Yes, okay, fine. Take me to the woodshed. I think because they have the same damn suits.
That's actually legit.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I heard it as soon as I said it. I heard it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. To our listening audience,
I'm gonna go say 5 Hail Marys.
You look at our billboard.
Oh my God.
you look at our billboard and you understand why I laugh. But no harm, no foul at all. I just I can laugh at these things. It's funny. But you're right. So, but it's about power for him. He wants to rule the Breen by any means necessary. And if this progenitor tech's going to give it to him, then so be it. This is what he's going to do.
And this is a guy who, the Breen, for everything I'm hearing about the Breen, it's kind of twofold. one, they have a lot of honor like the Klingons do, but two, they're much more ruthless like the Borg. I mean, I really feel like they really wanted to come up with an enemy that had Borg-type threat. Like, we're machines and we're coming to get you and we're lifeless. And yet we have a lot of honor and we honor our dead and we honor this and that. So it's an interesting mix.
And treachery, just like
so this guy's just, and this guy's just like,
humans.
He's the most treacherous, and he does want power more than anything else.
It will get the best of him, as we will find out later on.
I can bring it back to you! The power we seek created life. In the words of someone who saw that power, it can also renew life.
So Maul asserts herself in this moment and says that she can bring Locke back to life, and she has the power to do so. And so... she, asks to be freed so that she can go on this noble quest to restore the Scion, which is Locke.
And, okay, this is where I'm starting to have a little bit of trouble because they're listening to her. Now, again, I know she's got the tattoo, she's the wife, and they got to give her deference. But I'm torn here because everything I hear about the Breen is they're ruthless. They don't take prisoners. They don't negotiate. And yet all they're doing is giving this girl a lot of rope. And they're letting her kind of take over and kind of negotiate with them. And I'm not liking the way that they wrote the Breen because as far as I'm concerned, they should be more like the Gorn. They just come in and just shred you without talking, without diplomacy. That's the way they set them up.
Murder. Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. And I do respect the fact that it's thin. It is thin because, how it's some outsiders. Like, no disrespect. It's like all of a sudden if... Just say that Harry and company all not wanting this to happen. I mean, Prince William, we're all of a sudden we're taken out. Well, then it becomes Harry and his line. Yeah. That becomes, and then would people accept Meghan Markle?
And they probably wouldn't because they haven't, and we've seen that. But if it's up to her and she can bring Harry back, they're going to listen to her. I get all of that. So, but the British monarchy, at least not in this timeline, at least not in this modern day and age, is not a brutal ruling dictator that takes no prisoners. They're sophisticated at this point, and they have, more of an elegance to them.
Yeah. So the uncle goes along with it because she's offering something, and she's the link. And maybe that's the way that we need to look at it. She is the key to something that they really, really want. So I'll put up with this to get what we want, and I would assume, and hopefully she would too, that she'd be double-crossed in the end.
Right. I think they're both waiting for the moment that they can take advantage and take the other one out.
Badlands. Largest plasma storm in the quadrant.
Hell of a place to hide a clue.
So the Discovery arrives at the Badlands at this plasma cloud seen by Book in his vision. And they come across a beacon that's made of the same materials as that library card. And after sending a scan, they get specific coordinates and, or someone who looks kind of Klingon-ish and is warned to follow the rules to the letter. What do we expect here?
The second I heard her voice, I'm like, oh my God, that's the voice of Peanut Hamper. So I looked it up, and it's not, but I was sure that it was. It's a different actress.
That would have been funny.
Oh, but I was like, it's
Peanut Hamper.
I know, but it sounded exactly like her. I'm like, oh, they're letting her have a part. How cute. But it wasn't her.
So Discovery follows the coordinates. They arrive through the plasma cloud. They sustain some damage, and then they arrive at the archive. And so they arrive at this place, and I don't know what to expect at this point. There've been so many twists and turns. What did these scientists leave for them? Is it a trap? Or is it as advertised? It's an archive.
Especially since this clue has been hidden, or the clues have been hidden in so many different places. And again, I've been really hard on Discovery, especially in the last couple of years, and I've been hard this season. But I still feel like it's just way too easy for them to always get to the clues. But in this case, it's finally like, oh, shoot, we got to go through this, and you better follow things to the letter. And it does seem a little tougher. And Discovery goes right through this cloud. And, I mean, it's like driving through, a bunch of knives, giant knives. I mean, it's just stabbing at the ship, and things are sparking, and, we're losing, shields and blah, 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 blah. It was a real tough thing to get through there.
There is just one other matter. My scans show that there is a Quajon aboard Discovery. Is that correct?
It is.
But once they arrive, they're greeted by Harel. They are the chief archivist.
I guess she is,
I guess
yeah,
it would be
yeah.
a better word. And she surprisingly asked for Book, who's Quazon. She says they have a Quazon artifact in the archive which they need context on. And so at this point, I know it's an archive, but I don't trust them. This could be like a zoo. You get there and then they capture you and put you on display.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, oh, you're the only surviving Quajon. We want to, but I mean, she seems sweet and she's the only one there, and off he goes, right? And in the meantime, we're gonna leave Burnam behind to have her, so to speak, discovery with the book that she's looking for.
Yeah. And so, Burnham and Book, they talk before beaming over, and, Book apologized to Burnham for his objections to sending them all away. Because remember, that was a big point of contention in the last episode. Should we do it? But they were like, listen, man, we can't go up against the Breen. We've got to let this go. So, so they kind of make their peace there. And once Book and Burnham get down to the archive, it looks like the Library of Congress.
Down that aisle, you'll find our extensive collection of original Valoric manuscripts. We can take a detour if you like.
No, thank you. We're pressed for time.
Yeah, it does. Or like a Harry Potter library. It's just this sprawling place, and there's all these wonderful places, and it's exciting. A lot of books, and it's cool.
Yeah, and so Burnham warns the Hyrel that the Breen are coming, but the representative doesn't seem to be phased. She's like, they're members of of this archive society, I suppose. They serve many cultures and that are in conflict, and as long as everyone follows the rules, everything's capiche. I'm just like, okay, I don't know how, because there's just some people you just wouldn't trust. They'll destroy no matter what. But I guess the Breen have archives there.
Okay, yeah, but this, again, it flies in the face of everything that Rayner has said about them. I'm the sole survivor of my species because they destroyed. Like, who are they? I mean, are they good? Are they bad? Have they contributed? Or, I think at least the Klingons, I would say, have tried to be a part of, if not part of the Federation, at least deal with them, or at least have a neutral zone where they don't mess with each other. But they have their own culture and they have their own things. I'm still just trying to figure out.
In a sense of honor. So I think there's a line for them. There's some things that are revered as honorable versus things that aren't. So I would think that keep preserving their heritage would be an honorable thing for the Klingons. But we don't know a lot about the Breen, so we're not 100%, clear on what they're all about, because we haven't spent that much time with them across, many series. Not enough to get to know who they are.
The manuscript you requested. Labyrinths of the Mind.
Has anyone else ever come looking for this?
Our records show you were the first.
So, Burnham and Book they get to the book. The book is there, the book of Labyrinths of the Mind, and Burnham learns that they're the first to come, looking for this book. So this has been a long time coming. And the human archivist, the scientist that placed the book there, lived the rest of her life at the archive. I was like, wow, okay.
That is incredible. And I was a little surprised to hear that she was the only one. No one else has gotten this far, which makes sense because it's been hidden and they had to go get the clues from all these people and all this stuff. It's just amazing to me that no one has ever gotten this far, but I love that they did, because the Picard episode, or rather the TNG episode, they only got a certain distance, and then of course the burn and everything that happened in the 800 years. And so I like the way they pick it up. And yeah, they are. I'm getting excited because it's like, this is fresh territory for everybody.
Oh, I would agree. My interest is piqued because I want to see how this is all going to play out. So, Book touches a device in the book, and it's activated just merely by her touch. And the next thing you know, there's a flashlight, and I'm like, oh boy, what is about to happen here?
Right, and it activates, and then we cut right away to Book with the archivist, and it's a nice little scene.
We were hoping you could tell us what it is.
It's a cutting from the Quajon world route.
And it's not what I expected. I expected some nefarious something or other, some subterfuge.
Yeah, me too.
But no, it's...
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't open it. Don't touch it.
Or
don't
maybe she
them.
moves in
don't
on him,
them.
like to try to, subvert Burnham, but no, she's sweet and she's nice and she's like here. And the thing is, it's these two little roots that come from Quajon, and he identifies them immediately. Kind of like looking at, like for us, it would be like, oh, that's a rutabaga or something, right? But, very special roots. And she's like, you can take them. You can have them. And he's just like, what? And he takes them.
Well, you're the sole survivor, so it's yours.
Well, but what's the whole point of the archive then, if she gives it away?
I don't know. Maybe he'll go plant it and start anew. I have no idea.
Well, she explains it and says, just do me a favor and come back when you want to and tell us about your stories. Couldn't she say, I don't know. I'm really being picky with Discovery this season. I'm very sorry about that to everybody listening. But she could have said, hey, can we keep one? You keep one. I just don't understand why she's so generous and letting it go. It's an archive.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was surprised too. I was like, you can check it out. Here's a library card. But,
but if it's late, it's 5 cents a day.
But at this point, I'm still like, okay, is book going to become, we're going to come scenes later and he's in a display case on the wall somewhere in the archive.
Michael, you won't believe what? Michael? Hey.
So Book, comes to find Burnham on the floor, unconscious in the archive room where she was inside the book. And she wakes up, but it appears that she's alone in the archive room, and she calls out, and she's shushed by a person that appears to be Book. So what are you thinking at this point?
Well, the first thing I'm thinking when she wakes up and she's alone is that she's been asleep for a long time, that it's a time machine. And so perhaps people have come and gone. I was really thinking, and maybe hoping for, secretly, that she got transported in time. So like, no, it's a year before or it's a year after, like they did when they went through the time cycles, to kind of have that kind of echo. But there he is, just sitting there in this cute little silver suit.
Your consciousness has been transported into a mindscape, a virtual space created from what your neural activity indicates as the most important place in your life.
I've never been here before.
The mind doesn't lie.
And he's totally chill, and he's just talking to her.
Yeah, so it's a virtual projection from our own mind through Book. And, so her consciousness has been transported into a mindscape created by the scientists who left the clue, and the AI taken from Burnham's subconscious, So, Burnham surmises that this is some kind of test.
Which is the only thing you can surmise, because they've come this far. They've been tested. She's been through the ringer with all of these things. And so, of course, it's a test, and she knows it immediately.
Yep. I mean, it has to be. It's one of those things. It'd be very unusual all of a sudden for it to be easy. So, and we'd be highly critical. So, Dr. Kobler examines her. She's stable. The archivist hasn't ever seen anything like this, and so they determine that a program is running in her mind. She can't be disconnected from it because it'd be fatal. So Raynor's now in charge and asking all info on the scientists to be pulled.
I like this scene, but we talked all season about how they're using canon and familiar ideas to keep us interested. This one is pretty much a direct ripoff of the Inner Light from Next Generation, where Picard is struck by an energy beam from a alien craft, and he's out for 20 minutes, but he lives a whole lifetime as another person. You of course, that episode.
I remember that one.
I think that's the best TNG episode ever. I think it's the best one ever. And I'm not mad that they're doing it, but I'm like, okay, they're borrowing that. That's fine. It's cool. It works. It's fine. So when Raynor takes charge and getting everybody, he's starting to, I can see him starting to like, okay, captain's down. I got to step up. This is something he has not been doing. And I can feel him like being pulled by that.
Well, I mean, he has a hesitancy to command because, he lost his command. He's not completely comfortable, in this new environment and new way of thinking. So there's definitely, and he's been, checked down a few times. So I can understand why he's, a bit hesitant. But so Burnham inside the mindscape is accompanied by AI Book, as I'm going to call him, and is looking for the next clue. And Burnham figures out the clue would be amongst things related to history. I mean, at least she's saying this. And the AI points to the fact that she fails on her quest. That if she fails on her quest, the mindscape will shut down, killing her. And so it's a security precaution. So
it's a security precaution. Yeah. It's like, look, you got this far. Great. Congratulations. But yeah, we can't just have you out there knowing what this is and all of that, which would also mean that the book itself would reset, I suppose, if she were to pass away and fail at her test. So of course, Burnham's like, I'm not giving up. I'm going for this. And, she's so tough. And, we'll get into this later, but I think this is her best episode of the entire series.
It was really good because it dealt with some things, as we'll find out, that go deeper, that speak to, who Burnham has been throughout this entire series.
A Breen ship has arrived at our beacon. They are requesting access to our archive.
You can't let them in. Not now.
We cannot be perceived as taking sides.
And so the archivist informs Captain Rayner, or Commander Rayner, that the Breen have arrived at the beacon, but the Breen can't be kept from the archive as the archive is a neutral site. So, what do you do?
Which again is like the law applies to everybody. You don't understand. They're going to come and kill everyone.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing that I understand values and I understand protocols, but when everyone's life is on the line and the archive is on the line, I think you can, maybe change the rules a bit, but no, it's not the way it's going to be.
Yeah, it's that purest way of thinking. And I think in our own real lives and, in our discourse, especially in this country, you find that, you have some people who live this purest way of thinking, but aren't attached to reality that everybody doesn't play by the same rules. And everybody doesn't respect the rules. Being a purist only works when everybody's playing by the rules. But
when it's an agreement.
Right, when it's an agreement. But what usually happens is the purists are the ones that get knocked off first because they hold themselves to an ideal but aren't adaptable to change into people who don't honor that.
Or survival. And the reason the species has survived is because of the other folks, the people that would break the rules. That's why everyone survives, is because there are people who are willing to do anything to survive. And I think to that point that you just made, it's not that the thing that people will say is if I act like them, I become them. And I think, no, you don't. That's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. If you defend yourself against someone who's attacking, you eliminate them and the possibility that you could become them, because you're either going to get killed or taken over. And your third
exactly.
Your third option is fight back and win.
Give it to me, or the archive and its contents will be made ash.
Your request is denied, and all Breen privileges are suspended until further notice.
So the Breen arrive and they demand the artifact is handed over to them. I'm like, oh crap! And the archivist strongly reminds them that they have Breen artifacts, but the Breen threatened to turn the archive into ash. And I'm like, well, there goes the purist.
Yeah, she's gonna die, right? And so here's what I'm thinking: like, what are we gonna do? Because you've got Discovery up top with Rayner in charge. You've got Burnham on the ground. You've got the archivist not really truly understanding the situation. It's really getting tense here. And I love this tension. This is what I was hoping for and looking for. It really starts to turn up the heat here. And I think it's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And the archivist denies them access, the access codes to get through the plasma.
Right, because they're being rude.
So the Breen decided yeah, you're being rude. I'm like, okay, well, then your access is denied, very politely. But the Breen decide to navigate the plasma storm. Maul reminds them the Breen are noted for their reverence for culture and history, and now they don't. And now, this is where I actually started seeing Maul question,
right?
What she knows about the Breen, and she was kind of like, now wait a minute. Aren't y'all supposed to revere your culture and history? And there were several moments in this episode where she kind of all of a sudden Scooby-Dooed it,
Exactly. And she's surrounded by guards, and I notice a couple of them are looking at her often when they're looking at the leader too, and she's kind of sensing it too, and
she's being mouthy.
Sense that not she's totally mouthy, and you can sense that maybe some of the Breen aren't totally on board with this. Whatever this leader, what do they call the leader? They call him
the Primarch.
Primarch, yeah. The Primarch's he's just out for himself, period, end of story. I want power, blah, blah, the same old story.
You say what is hidden down there will reveal the location of the progenitor's technology. How?
You have to combine it with the other clues that Discovery has.
You made no mention of other clues.
And so then Maul reveals that Discovery has the other clues, which infuriates the Primarch, and he got pissed. He, basically is threatening her, and he warns her about.
Is there anything else you need to tell me?
Yeah, warns about withholding any more information. And at this point, I'm just like, okay, Maul, what is your end game?
Well, what is it? I'm just trying to figure. I think the only thing she's thinking about now is getting Locke back. That's it.
Yep. But I mean, but she's not clueless, which I think we figured out.
I'm going the wrong way, aren't I?
Yes.
Damn it! Why didn't you tell me?
You didn't ask.
Back inside the mindscape, Burnham realizes she's going in the wrong direction. She realizes the book of Labyrinth of the mind also refers to the archive being a labyrinth itself.
Which is really cool twist, because the camera pulls back, from the floor up, and it expands to show a labyrinth, which is brilliant.
Yep, and the mission, gorgeous. So the mission is getting back to the reading room where this exercise began. And so, Burnham marks her path with sand. I don't know where she got it, but...
With endless sand. I'm like, okay, that's what I want to know. Where'd you get the sand? How is it that it's endless?
But this is in her mind. This is in her mind, though. So that, if book is there, then, a representation of book, then I guess she can get endless sand into her mind. So whatever tools her mind is going to put out there, I guess that's what she's going to use.
Excuse me. Unfortunately, our conversation with the Breen did not go well. We have raised our shields, which means transport back to your ship will be impossible for the time being.
So the Breen finally arrived, and the archivist comes running in, warning Raynor, Book, and Dr. Culber that they've raised shields, which will keep them inside. So Raynor gives Discovery the order to hide. Yeah, you got to hide.
Yeah, but they can't cloak. So what do?
So they got to send themselves back into the storm.
Right back into the storm. They're like, why are we doing this? I love Tilly's reaction during all of this. She's hysterical over this episode, and then the next one too. She's just fantastic. Why are we doing this?
yeah, she's funny when she does that. It's kind of like when they on the other mission, and the guy goes sacrifice. She goes sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All of us.
What? So that was funny.
But the good news is that Burnham's doing well. She's getting her way through the archive. And she thinks she's finally found a way out, but she comes right back to the start, which I guess I kind of didn't see coming, but it makes perfect sense.
Oh, yeah, it'd be too easy. There's always got to be a little more to it. And so the AI says that AI book says she hasn't passed the test yet. And so I'm just like, well, what the hell? So meanwhile, the Breen began attacking the archive. I mean, they're driving some kind of energy beam into their shields, and Raynor realizes they're using some kind of pointed tunneling device. So basically to open up a gap where they can
get the troops
in. Get the troops in.
Commander Raynor, you copy?
Yeah. What's going on?
We're detecting some kind of energy connection between the Dreadnought and the archive shields. I've never seen anything like it. Seems to be focusing on one particular spot.
Shit. They're using shield tunneling technology to get their troops inside.
And so I'm just like, oh crap! Now I'm getting pumped up because I'm just wondering how this is all going to play out. I don't have a clue.
Well, the beauty of this is there's multiple ticking clocks here, which I think they did masterfully. Burnham is running out of time, and as she goes through the labyrinth, literally lights are going out. She's running out of time before she can come to a solution. The Breen is tuttling in; they're running out of time. Discovery needs, can't stay in the nebula forever. They're running out of time. It's a lot, and I love it. I was on the edge of my seat.
Oh yeah, this was good. This was really, really good. And Burnham continues to work through the clues, and book, AI book is chosen. They start discussing the relationship between Burnham and Book and the unresolved issues.
Do you want me to admit that the job is everything? Is that how I get the clue? Or maybe I should go even more psychobabble here and admit that if I don't complete this mission, then I don't know who I am.
It seems like a lot of blame, and it seems to me like we are in the whatever technically the 25th, 4th century, but in 32nd century. But they're still, hashing it out. They're still kind of holding on to their own positions. And Book has his because he understands what the positions are based on Burnham's, knowledge of Booker. And I like it. It's an interesting conversation. And he's leading her, if you notice. He's asking really poignant questions.
Yeah, and this is where I really enjoyed this part. So Burnham goes through a lot of self-examination about her drive to find purpose, her desire to prove that she deserves a position that she won't fail again. And so, right, and she's always carried the mutiny, and we've touched on this in the time cycling. And there's always been this sense of I have to prove that I deserve to be here. And that's, I'm pretty sure it's a heavy weight.
And don't forget, when you're Spock's younger sister, you kind of have to prove something there too. Like her whole life, she's had. Don't forget her backstory. The mom disappearing and parents dying in an attack, and or at least disappearing in an attack. And she's had a life, man.
Yeah, and so I thought this was a really good turning point, because we're getting to the point where we're summing up this whole series, and this is where I think the strength of the episode came in, because now it's coming all back to Burnham, where we all started when she made that decision that led to a Klingon war. And, and her having to erase that stain and become somebody that was well respected again. So I really appreciated that.
So how the hell do we disrupt a shield tunneling technology we've never encountered before from a species we know almost nothing about?
And don't forget, we have to do it without the Breen knowing we're here.
So the Discovery examines the Breen beam. Reno's, they go to Reno again. She has her little checkered background, and the knowledge comes into play, and they figure out a way to shut down the beam. And so, Book and Raynor find an attack position to fend off the Breen, and have the upper hand.
But of course, Mal wants to beam aboard, and it's totally rejected.
You don't have to keep losing soldiers.
We will sacrifice as many as it takes. Redirect all forces in the facility to that sector immediately.
He doesn't give a shit about Locke. Or any of you.
So she tells another Breen, a high-ranking officer, that this Primer, he doesn't give a damn about Locke. And that's the truth. I think that's what's really happening.
Oh, yeah. And so, we're seeing dissension begin amongst the ranks. And so...
That's how you break it down.
Yep. It's textbook. You find the weak points and exploit them. And so Discovery stops the beam. They come out of the storm, but Book is wounded. And Raynor reluctantly says that they will have to beam out and flee, risking killing Burnham, and that they're no match for that dreadnought. He knows what they're up against.
Which is true.
Yeah.
Which is true. And at that moment, that's his option. That's his only option. But the beauty of this is that it's not the only option. And, where that ticking clock comes in is that we still have a few ticks left on that clock.
The time is almost up.
I know. I've tried everything. There's nothing else I can do. I don't want to die in here.
Are you afraid of death?
Not really. I'm afraid a lot, but not of death.
Burnham is accepting defeat. It seems like she's resigned to it, but she doesn't want to die, but she's accepting the fact that she may have failed. And, AI Book is asking, are you afraid to die? But she says, I don't fear death. But her biggest, we find out, and this goes back to what we just discussed, about not being enough. That's her biggest fear, being a good friend, being a captain, being a good partner, which drives her, but it's also her Achilles heel.
Here's the thing about this monologue. I'm a big fan of monologues when they are written and delivered well. She does something magical here. She gets outside of Sonequa, Martin Green. She gets outside of Burnham. And from what I'm seeing, she's channeling something greater. Maybe she's realizing this series is ending. She puts something into this performance that was reminiscent of me of Viola Davis or Angela Bassett or Regina King. Like, I'm seeing all those influences in what she's doing. She's wiping away tears, and there's her genuine tears. She crushed this monologue, and I loved every second. I watched it twice. I loved every second of her.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Just gorgeous monologue.
Yep. And so she regrets holding back her feelings with Book, and that she was afraid she had failed him. And, she really, does a lot of self-examination. Yeah. And that was the test.
That was it. You passed the test.
And AI Book says she passed.
Yep.
It was coming to terms with herself and being honest with herself.
We see these sometimes, paradoxes, conundrums in Star Trek stories. They are really doing a service now, especially in this monologue, to genuine Star Trek. Again, you and I have said it ad nauseum. If they had done this 2 seasons ago, we'd have a season 6. But there it is.
Exactly. So AI Book reveals there's a crystal in viewing room 7 that she'll have to break and get the next clue inside of it. And AI says there's one thing about the final destination she needs to know.
How to get through it.
How to get through it. But it's not revealed to us.
Which is an extra layer that I was so grateful for, because we know that's going to be the difference if the Breen gets the tech versus if, Burnam keeps the tech. And it was just a really wonderful nuance that I thought was great.
Primarch Rune, your business is with us, not with the Archive. They no longer have the item you desire.
So you do.
And if you fire on us, you'll destroy the clue.
If you do not send me the entire set of clues immediately, I will destroy the Archive.
And so Burnham wakes up, and they race to get the final clue. They get the final clue,
smash
and beam
the
out
crystal
just in time.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yep. And so Discovery lures the Breen away from the Archive, and the Breen threatens to destroy the Archive if they don't turn over the clue. And this is another great turning point. Burnham asks for assurance that if they don't if they do turn over the clue, that they will stop attacking the Archive.
And here's a funny moment, because I don't know what the term is, but she's like, you have to do a Breen, it's like a tontine or something, you have to swear on whatever. And the guy's like, give me a minute to think about it. And I have to tell you, it was such a silly moment. Like, here are these deadly people with a giant ship. And this is the thing that makes me laugh about how they're writing the Breen. They're so tough with all these weapons. They can destroy Discovery in a second. But they keep getting talked into being nice. And they're like, give me a minute. I'll think about it. So he goes off and thinks about it for, 60 seconds. And he comes back, okay, I'll do it. So he makes the promise.
But the one thing is, I think it just could have been written better.
I think that they were scrambling because... they had to rewrite to finish the series.
And I think they came back and reshot for a whole month, but to sure up things. But I think that the play should have been, we have the clue. You can't destroy us. That's the way I would have been. Yeah. Listen here.
Sure.
Pardon my language. Listen here, bitches. You can't destroy us.
Yeah,
Rick James.
That is the play, right? But what she does is so strange to me. She goes, if you do this blood oath that you won't attack the Archive, which is only 1,000 people versus 20 quadrillion in the universe, we'll give you the progenitor clue. And he goes, okay, I agree. And they send it over. Why? I'm just in shock. The only thing I'm thinking is it's a copy. It's a model. It doesn't have... But then I remember, oh, well, wait. She has an extra piece. Of course she can send it over. But I'm still thinking, yeah, but they're gonna meet the Breen there, right? But we wouldn't have episodes 9 and 10 if they didn't. So that's why they had to send it over. But I was gobsmacked.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you doing this?
But I
Do you have what did you think of that?
I was like, I was trying to figure out what she was doing, but I also understood. They had the last clue anyway, so they put it together. Yeah, beam it over. They still got to figure it out.
I know, but I mean, what it guarantees is that they'll both be there, at the next clue, at the final clue. I would almost be like, no, destroy us, because if you destroy the clue, and then it stays safe forever. You'll never find it. So. I don't know. I would have sacrificed my crew and the Archive for, the possibility of destroying the entire galaxy.
Well, Burnham inserts the last clue. A map comes up revealing the location of the tech, and Discovery records all this. And then Burnham does a really smart move. She orders Discovery to vent all the plasma from the nacelles, which was perplexing everyone. But it was really, really cool. I was like, okay, there's something here. I didn't know what exactly she was doing, but I had confidence in what she was about to do.
Here she is a tactician, but keep in mind, the Breen had promised that they wouldn't, destroy the archive. And they start shooting at the archive and at Discovery. So Discovery gets in the middle and takes the fire. And that's what she's like, vent drive plasma. And the ship is falling apart. Shields are down to like 3%. And she's like, wait. And she goes, now. And they spin out in Black Alert. They jump and leave behind this drive plasma and some pieces. And it makes the Breen think that they've destroyed Discovery. Brilliant tactic.
Commander Asher, where are we?
22 light years off target.
Commander Stamets!
I'm not sure what happened. The core drive malfunctioned.
Sensors say it was damaged by the Breen assault.
Yeah, they ignite the plasma and it blows up, and then
that's like the old submarine.
The old submarine where you put trash in the chutes and then let it float to the top.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and oil and stuff.
Yeah, very much, very smart. So, so the badly damaged Discovery arrives at the coordinates to the last clue. The ship looks broken. It looks like Battlestar Galactica in the 5th season when they did that final jump and it buckled.
Oh my God. It's so funny that you say that. That's exactly what I was thinking. As soon as it came down and it was smoking and broken, I'm like, oh, that's the last jump of Battlestar Galactica. That's exactly what, and the visuals were stunning. Dude, they have done amazing work.
Oh yeah, I was just like, bravo. I was just like, oh yeah. So you and I were on the same page. It was like, oh my God, Battlestar Galactica is Discovery's back broken, and so she broke her back, and so
she broke her back.
Burnam alludes that that's something that she learned at the archive that the Breen won't be able to solve. So it makes sense why she pulled this one off, because she has the upper hand. They can get the clue. They can go there and hang out. But they're not going to have the one thing that they need to make this move forward. But, everybody's like, but Maul might figure it out. She's pretty smart. And so the Breen leader makes the order to destroy the archive, and Maul challenges that order.
Discovery has been destroyed. Good. Prepare to fire on the archive.
You swore, Tarragoon. Don't make this any worse for your crew than you already have.
Remember, she's turning into she's boss bitch, right? She's like, hey, listen, when Locke comes back, he's going to take care of all you sons of bitches. So you better listen to me. This is where I'm still struggling with Maul, because it's like, why are they keeping her alive? Why are they letting her live? Why are they letting her talk? Why are they doing this stuff? I guess I see that it has to do with she's the wife, but she's the wife of a dead man where there's no promise that he can be brought back.
But she has the keys to the tech, so you can't really screw with her either.
I know, but it's just like the Primarch is like, and so, I think he makes a move on her, but he's defended, or rather she's defended by one of the other soldiers, which gives Maul a chance to, do the drop kick.
Well, yeah.
Drop the glow stick of destiny, and then she shoots Primarch.
Yeah. The Primarch was going to kill the other officer to challenge, and then she used that distraction to take him down and kill him. And I was just like, okay. No, I actually like that move, though. I was just like, all right.
I am the wife of Locke, scion, and true ruler of the Imperium. We will get him back. Long will he reign.
So the Primarch is killed, and Maul vows to revive Locke and help ascend him to the throne. And the Breen end up rallying behind her. They're all cheering.
What did she say? Long may he reign?
Yeah, something like that. And there was like, long may he reign.
Slams the glow stick of destiny down. Yeah. Yeah, and again, I she's okay. I don't think she's the best actress out there. She's a nice lady. I like Maul. But I've never really been into this character, and I'm hoping 9 and 10 gives her more of an acting challenge and more of something that is intriguing.
Well, we made it through another episode, Steve, and I can't wait. We got 2 episodes left. This is going to hit an apex.
Oh God, I know it's going to be great. And it's going to make everyone sad. I think there's going to be a huge letter writing campaign at the end of the season. Bring back Discovery, bring back Lower Decks, forget Section 31 in the Academy. I really do.
That one's already been shot. 31's already in.
Okay. Well, then fine. We'll see how well it does.
Yeah. Well, all right then, Lel. Well, that concludes this episode of the Star Trek Discovery edition of Energize.
Thank you so much for listening. We love having you around. Thanks for all your comments. If you ever want to reach out to us, you can go on our website and send us a note. which you might be listening to right now on our website, which is www.energizepodcasts.com. You can go to anthonymclemore.com or stevetruitt.com to learn more about us.
Well, thanks for listening. I'm Anthony McLemore.
I'm Steve Truitt. Live long and prosper.